Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome back again to my channel. Papa Dejet here with the one and only John Expire here. Hello, John.
Yo, Dejet, it's been a little bit. We had a nice conversation last time. I'd love to be on every single time.
Yeah, but to be honest with you, that episode, it's a huge impact for me. I mean, like,
Mm.
everyone's keep contacting me, like, DM me on Instagram. Hey, Digit, is it true that all the talent in Southeast Asia sometimes didn't get paid, something like that? Yeah, I answered that question with, well, no sugarcoating. Well, not just John on that episode, but all of Indonesian talent sometimes getting hold the payment, something like that. So it's something that, well, maybe people need to know how hard to be a
Yeah,
talent in esport industry. Okay, so yeah,
yeah.
but this time we will not talk about that things again because we are
hmm
ready for the preparation of the international
Mm.
2025. John, Southeast Asia region, the first things is getting a two slot. Is it deserved for you?
I think it is. I mean, we don't have a direct invite team, so it's going to be very, very interesting to see for these two slots, right? Because this year, all our invites are the top performing teams: EEU, Western Europe, one Chinese, right? Like South America doesn't have anything, North America doesn't have anything. So,
Yep.
giving those extra slots is pretty big, and I would have expected it anyhow. I think, despite our performance on land, I think
Mm-hmm.
sees probably the next major region that
Mm-hmm.
is important to sustain Dota. So I think it is a region that still deserves two slots. Again, this year has been up and down, but I think that's set to be corrected at the very least in some parts.
Okay, so yeah, I think I agree with you because we don't have any representative in Southeast Asia as the whole team, not just one person, one guy that were playing in the other regions teams, which is we know who it is. But
hmm
again, no Southeast Asia team. I think that's I don't know, my personal reason why we get the two slot here. But since you are mentioning about the other region, let's talk about the direct invite first about the international in the upcoming months. I think the Team Liquid, Parivision, Bat Boom, All Gamers Global. It's coming from China, right? For
Yep.
All Gamers. Oh man, the logo of All Gamers reminds me of Army Genesis, man.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. It is like the one for older
and,
logos. Yeah.
and the acronym the AG, it's like a Army
Yep.
Genesis. Right? I mean, like, is this my team?
Yeah, yeah, yeah. It
Okay,
really takes you back,
and
no?
okay, Gaming Gladiator, Team Spirit, Team Falcon, and also Tundra, the one, and I think it's the most hyped team that get invited because of that guy, our friends, White Man over
Of
there
course.
from Southeast Asia, especially from Indonesia. But do you agree with the invitational team?
I think I do overall. I think
Okay.
there might be some question marks over getting Liquid in, considering their rocky performance this year. It's been a little bit up and down. I think they've been doing fine in like Blast, but
Mm-hmm.
Dream Leagues haven't been so kind. ESL
Mm-hmm.
hasn't been the best of times. Wallahi has been also kind of a mixed bag for them. So it's been a
Mm-hmm.
really touch and go year for Liquid. I think there's some arguments to be made there. Otherwise, I think this is a very solid invite list. Maybe some question marks as well on Tidebound or AG, as they are in there,
Mm-hmm.
as they were acquired by All Gamers Global. I think these are the two that you might be able to say, I don't know if they deserve a slot fully, but I don't think it's too off the mark, especially for Tidebound. They've shown some good performances here and there.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, I think Liquid, maybe it's recency bias, but again, as of recording here, Dream League 26 is going on. Liquid
Uh-huh.
is out, right? Like in group
Yep.
stage 2, their group stage 1 wasn't so
Yep.
hot as well. So it's like they've got to shape up, these defending champs of TI, but everything else is pretty bog standard. Like Paravision, we knew was going to get invited. Tundra, we kind of knew as well. Betboom as well. They've been on the rise. Good for them because it's also been like the past 2 years have been very touch and go.
Uh-huh.
And Gaiman, maybe some arguments to be made for Gaiman as well, but their highs aren't as high, but they are still a consistent team when they are, past group
Indeed.
stage, still consistent there.
I agree about gaming, but I will be mad if Thunder didn't get invited on the
Oh yeah,
well
yeah,
on the Wikipedia it said on the last one on the bottom right, but I I will be mad if Thunder didn't get any invite for the international, because they do have the consistency, right? I mean, like
Mm,
finishing in the all tournament with the position 1 until 4, at least top 4. They always finish on the top 4. They almost never going out from the tournament in the first round, something like that. So I think they deserve it.
yeah.
Not just because I'm biased with the White Mon, but the Thunder itself is doing a great things in the one full season before the TI. And then before TI, there will be 2 or maybe 3 tournaments, right?
I think I believe China has Snow Rui actually. I don't
Yeah,
know if that's been
Snorri.
announced in English. And
Mm-hmm.
of course, we've got the Esports World Cup coming up around July, if I recall
Yep.
my dates right. Like that's a very long event in Dota somewhere in July. So
Yep.
yeah, there should be like 2 tournaments. I'm not sure. There's Wallahia as well, which is coming up
Mm-hmm.
end of June. So it's like 3 tournaments, I think, right before TI. So there
Yep.
is that. Yeah. Quite a few,
Well,
quite a few.
I think that's gonna be well, I'm not sure it's a right word or not. It's like a warming up tournament, but
Mhm.
the prize pool is not a warming up, of course.
Oh,
so
I
so
this is a good point as well. Actually, before we go
yeah,
on, like there
go.
have been rumors, haven't there? There have been very reliable source diggers, source code miners
Okay, this is
checking
coming
Dota
from
2.
John Rumors. Okay.
Yes, yes. I mean,
Okay.
it was on Reddit, and this guy dug through the game files. He saw the
Okay.
structure for old Battle Pass being updated. He saw stuff
Really?
related to Battle Pass
Am I
being
miss something
updated.
here?
So, you know,
Okay.
could this be
Okay.
the return? Who knows? I'm optimistic.
Okay.
I'm very optimistic that it comes back.
Oh, I'm.
But it throws a spanner, doesn't it? Because a lot of people were like, "Oh, Ti, the prize pool EWC is a bit more important now." If Battle
Yes.
Pass comes back, some of those teams might be
Oh.
kicking themselves. They might be kicking
Okay.
themselves when that comes back, if that comes back, which I
Okay.
hope it does.
Well, everyone's hoping about that, I think, John, because we already missed the battle pass. I mean, like, that's the only things that for us that not playing in the TI, even though for them that playing in the TI is impact by that battle pass. I mean, we are as a normal player get something that we can
Mm,
get if we buy that battle pass. The player itself gonna be have impacted too with the battle pass price pool share, something like that, right? It's what makes Dota tournament for the international especially big, right? So yeah, I think
yep.
it's already, woo, get me excited here.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay, since you mentioned about the prestige of the tournament because of the prize
Mm,
pool, some of the player that previously come to my episode said that, well, yes, they agree about the prize pool is gonna be bigger than the TI, at least before that rumor.
mhm.
But they still think that TI is still important because that's the everyone's dream since the beginning of the Dota 2 esport competitive scenes, right? I mean, the other is like, okay, this is a third party. Well, they have a bigger tournament
Mm,
and also the bigger event, bigger prize pool, but TI is TI. Some people still say
yes.
that. Do you agree about that, John?
I agree. I agree 100%. I think TI has this heritage. TI was the first. TI was the first to launch esports into $1 million. TI was the first thing that Valve truly had a hands-on relationship
Mm-hmm.
with. And sure, for the past few years, we've seen more and more of those responsibilities delegated out to
Mm-hmm.
PGL. But in the end, Valve is still the most involved with TI. Like they are still
Ah,
there.
yeah.
They are still directing certain things with I'm sure. I can't. I don't have firsthand confirmation, secondhand or whatever, but I'm pretty sure Valve is still heavily involved with the international, and it still holds that importance for Valve. So in that sense, I mean, if you want like sporting allegories for this Dejet, I'm not sure if you're
Mm.
familiar. It's like
Yep. What is it?
Monaco. For F1.
Oh yeah,
Monaco,
I know. I
right? So
know. I know
Monaco
about
is a really
F1.
yeah. So,
Yeah.
we just saw Monaco. I saw Monaco. It was disgusting. Two pit stop mandatory and all that. But the race is still important to the drivers, right?
Yes.
Like
Hmm.
not because of points or anything, because of the heritage of it. And
Yep.
it's not that bad with TI. I don't think
Mm-hmm.
it's to the level that TI is like a
Yes.
Monaco, which is not a good thing to
Yep.
compare to, but it's
Mm-hmm.
important, right? So it's the heritage.
Yep. Okay. I agree about that. I agree about that. Something like you cannot erase TI as a
Mm.
prestige tournament in the Dota 2 competitive, right? So that's
Oh
gonna
yeah.
be a long discussion. But right now, what I'm trying to get here with you is first question before we go to the Southeast Asia. Quick recap
Mhm.
about Southeast Asia. Sorry, North America and also South America. There's
Okay.
a lot of team that I didn't know, John, what is happening
Mm,
in that region. I mean, like, okay, we know Shopify Rebellion, but Wildcard, I'm sorry, it's not familiar with me. The South America, maybe the team is still there. I mean, like OG Latam, Heroic, Team H, that I don't know. It's a kind of new player. Team Dan get invited for the direct invitation on the close
mm.
qualifier. Quick answer, John. Who's gonna be coming on top, or maybe who's gonna be the dark horse? Is it gonna be a some stack team from that region?
Mm. For South America, it's hard to say. I think I've been personally pretty unimpressed with what happened to South America post
Yeah,
TI 11. I think
yeah,
TI 11, TI 12, one of those two, where Pacaz was popping off. They had
yep,
a lot of momentum in there, and felt like
mm-hmm,
that momentum never really carried through. So I'm
yep,
curious to see what they bring out. I feel like Heroic has been going through some changes. It's not been the same form since
mm-hmm,
they've swapped out the Vailama with Whisper, which
mm,
I'm not saying Heroic made the wrong choice. It's what works with your team. Maybe there was some personality conflicts. Maybe Devi had different expectations, yada, yada,
yes,
yada. That can happen. So I'm pretty sure, to the betterment of Heroic. It's hard to say for South America. I think that
mm-hmm,
one is kind of a toss up for me between Heroic and OG Latam. I think those are the two teams that I think have been the most stable in South America. Edge, you could say as well. We've seen them on some lands, but their performance out of all three of these teams have, in my opinion, been the weakest one from
oh,
Edge. So I would say
okay,
OG Latam and Heroic probably do a little bit better. But in the South American qualifiers, we've seen Edge kind of beat Heroic at the very least every now and again. So I that one's a toss up between those three teams. For North America, it's a lot easier to call. And this one should just be Shopify, right? Like Wildcard has been getting better. I think this team has been very enjoyable to watch for me
uh-huh,
because me and Mike spent time in North America. We were casting the North
mm-hmm,
American DPC for Beyond the Summit and for PGL, and we
mm-hmm,
got to really interact with the region. I love seeing Wildcard slowly improve because these are players that have been stuck in North American tier 1, which is basically like worldwide tier 2 for a long time, right? Like,
yeah,
let's be frank here. There's
yeah,
no mincing words. And
yeah,
I would love to see RCY in the international. I would love to see
oh,
Speed in the international. Hey, it's your boy Speed here, on TI. But I think
okay,
Shopify is still a step ahead. But I Wildcard could take it. I would favor
okay.
Shopify. It's those two teams, but Wildcard could take it 3-2 as well.
Well, I'm with you with that. I mean, like, based on statistic or maybe the player basis on the Shopify and the wildcard, I think Shopify it's still on top. I mean, like
Mm,
one step ahead from wildcard. But one thing that I do remember, all North America, South America, all the American region always make a surprise. That's always
yeah,
happens.
for
Not
sure.
that sometimes maybe the best thing is something that not coming from the best organization, something like that. So,
Mm.
who do you think gonna be? Is it Shopify or Wildcard?
I would favor Shopify. I think Wildcard,
Okay,
if they do, I think the one condition I have is if it goes to 5 games, Wildcard
okay.
has a 50-50 shot. I don't think Wildcard wins a
Is
3-0
it? It's
BO5.
5 game. It's 5 game on the grand final.
Yeah, if Wildcard will go through, it's 5 games. If
Uh huh.
Shopify goes through, it could be 5 games. It could be like a 3-0 thing. So
Oh,
I think
okay.
it's clear for Shopify, but Wildcard does have a shot.
Either it's get stumped or it's gonna be a back and forth game.
Pretty much, yeah. That's
Okay,
that's what I
okay.
expect.
Okay, let's move to the West Europe and also Eastern Europe. And let's
Okay.
start with the Eastern first. I mean, like, this is the region that I think, well, yeah, big name organization, big name player, but I don't know, one slot that they gave it to the Eastern Europe. Is it okay with the one slot because of not really many teams left over there, John?
Mm, I think it's fair because you direct invited two teams from there, right? Paravision and
Okay.
Betboom. So
Yep.
it's like you already got a few teams there. I believe Team Spirit's invited as well, right? So that's like three teams in the main tournament. I don't think you can really afford to give
Mm-hmm.
any more slots to Eastern Europe. That's fair
Yep.
enough. They've got
Enough.
three teams directly invited. Yeah, so
Yep.
that's more than enough representation from Eastern Europe. And to be fair, I feel like EU only. I mean, they already have four teams. Four strong teams
Mm-hmm.
is a lot, and I think that's already the majority of the strong teams on Eastern Europe. Anyhow, leaving out maybe Aurora. I think Aurora is probably the favorites in this one. Um, Navi Junior could be a surprise if they make it through open qualifiers, or if they even play in Eastern Europe.
Mm-hmm.
Eastern Europe is also the region with the most drama right now. We've had teams mention that they decline direct invites because they're
Yes.
wanting to play in Western Europe. I'm pretty sure all these teams will play open qualifiers into Western Europe instead, because Eastern Europe is a little bit of a bloodbath. I mean, you have to play against Aurora, right?
Yeah.
Already, Aurora alone, it's like you probably don't want to touch that. Navi is an interesting one. I'm not as convinced by Navi as I am by Navi Junior, but they're
Uh-huh.
still a tough team to go up against. So, you know, it's the most drama filled region because of those teams that did pull out.
Okay. Okay. So what about the Western? Nigma, most the original OG, and then also Alvolus.
This one is interesting because they do get two slots.
Yes,
So
they.
there is a
That's what
world,
I'm. That's why
right?
I'm asking you. I mean, like the two slot, and then the team itself is like the old organization with the
Hmm.
like almost washed player. I'm sorry about that. What do you think?
It's an interesting one. I think two slots is still fair for Western Europe. I think next to Eastern Europe, they have been the strongest region by far for a
Hmm.
good 3 years now at this point. So I think it's
Okay.
very fair to give them the slots. The question is who comes in from the direct invites. Honestly, I think Nigma's the strongest one out here. I think Avilas have been
Okay.
underperforming. OG, I have no clue what they're cooking up. I think losing 23 is
Yep.
actually a pretty big move down. I mean, look, I love Shad. I think he's a cool guy. I've heard stories that he's a cool guy. I've interacted a little bit with him, not enough, but he seems nice. He has his good moments. I think at his best, is he matching 23 Savage? Probably not. I think Savage on his best day is just top tier. And Shad, I don't think has shown that full potential yet. So I haven't seen proof of
Okay.
that. I don't think OG is. I don't know if OG can kind of stitch it together enough by the time these
Okay.
qualifiers come in. I think Nigma, legitimately, Nigma could be at TI. It depends
Okay.
on who comes in through open qualifiers. I mean, I kind of want, this is what I want, Dejet. I want Nigma to win. I want Secret to come in through open qualifiers and also go on.
Yes,
I
finally you
want Nigma
mentioned it. Finally you mentioned it because we almost get Secret always win a TI fourth, third,
Yes.
second. They lose on this on the grand final and then they never come back.
Yeah.
Poppy struggling to gather all the best players that he can have to play under Secret. They always get knocked out on the first round, second round on the qualifiers. We miss Secret. I
Yes.
always miss Secret. I always cheer for Secret actually, but well, yeah, in the last 2 years I switched it to Liquid. But yeah,
Fair enough.
so you think Nigma will be come out on top?
Yeah, I mean, from these invited teams, from whatever's left in the scraps as well from open qualifiers, Nigma looks to be the most solid. I think they've shown up. Dream League, maybe they're ending there as it's happening right now as we're recording.
Mm-hmm.
Dream League, you know, they had a deeper run than most would think. Group stage 2, maybe not as hot as you'd
Yeah.
want, but I think Nigma has shown that they have improved a lot, and I think that's also down to Kuroki getting very comfy with his coaching role in comparison to
Yep.
Bangkok when that started. He has looked. It's been so much better. It's been getting better and better for Nigma. So
It's
I do
like
expect them to be the favorites.
yeah, I think this is something that's supposed to be happens a long time ago. I mean, like,
Mm,
but yeah, maybe Kuro still wants to play or maybe still
yeah,
confident with the skills. But right now in 2025, we saw Kuro as a captain and also as a coach role, and that's way much better in terms of gameplay, the way they close the game. Even though they have to come back struggling from the early stages to the mid game, they kind of show it to us. So I do believe and also agree with you. Nigma maybe come up on top, or maybe at least they get the slot to the international.
yeah, for sure. I think I
Okay.
want to give a special mention before we move on. Mao's.
Two
I mean, I didn't mention
mouse.
Mao's. I don't look. It has Abed and Zeal and Celery. I
Yeah.
love these guys. I
Yeah.
don't think they're doing so well. I think we've seen a little bit of it. It doesn't. It's not stitching together. This is a lineup that just formed relatively recently. I want to see them do well. I'm not convinced, but I do want to, give a shout out to Mouse because it has Abed and Zeal. So, if they can make it, they could be a dark horse. Talking about dark
Mm-hmm.
horses, it could be Mouse. At least compared to OG, I would favor Mouse a little bit more. Who knows? But yeah,
Okay. Okay. But yeah. Okay. We will see. I mean, like we're just trying to uh give some prediction based on the what is happening in the last couple of months, based on the performance. So it's nothing about bias
Mm,
beside me.
mm,
Anyway, so
yeah.
yeah, we moved to this Chinese region, which
Mm,
is something that I want to talk about a little bit more minutes before we drop to our main region, Southeast Asia. So China region, Yakult Brothers, Extreme Gaming, Yakult Boys somehow some tournament get the slot, get the direct
mm,
invite, get playing well. Extreme Gaming, we know that one, I don't know, it's not one and only, but one still doing okay as a Chinese organization that's still consistent in the Dota 2. But my question is, where are all the old player? Is it too old for them to play Dota anymore? I don't think so, because S Triple C, all the name that still looks young in this
mm.
2025, not even there. John, what is happening with this region actually?
I China's been on a downturn for a long time, and I think it's a mix, right? Like I think we saw this with Ame actually for a while.
Mm-hmm.
Streaming is just much more valuable in China. Like it's
Okay.
so much more money. It's almost like what we see in Southeast Asia, except yeah, I think it's been longer in China that streaming's been a lucrative thing to do for a lot of
Okay.
the old pros. SCCC I think streams.
Mm-hmm.
Ame was streaming for a while, and I think the region's just been hard pressed. It's look, the matchmaking in China has been dead enough that a lot of them queue Southeast Asia. That tells you enough about the state of the region, which is pretty rough. That it's also hard to sustain comp teams. Why would you sustain comp in China? Almost like Southeast
Mm-hmm.
Asia again. Why would you play Dota competitively? There's a government, technically a government restriction on how long you can play in internet cafes now, theoretically, so younger players don't get to
Yeah.
stay out and play more. A lot more people play on their phones. What's the home of mobile gaming? Mobile Legends, Bang Bangs from China, Honor of
Mm.
Kings, Arena of Valor. All of this originate in China, and it's if we were talking the explosion of that last time in the podcast, China, it's fully there. It's fully embraced mobile gaming.
Yeah.
So it's a little bit hard to see like fresh players coming in. Hopefully, same thing for China. Hopefully, a lot of them get inspired, look back, look at other MOBAs,
At least one
watch
more
their
try.
idols there. Yeah, yeah, but I
Especially if
think
the rumor about the battle pass is true. I mean, like, they
yeah,
will
for
be
sure.
doing it, right?
And there's also the drama with extreme gaming that very recently,
Uh-huh.
I think we were in day one or day two of the first group stage in Dream League, or
Mm-hmm.
the last day. There was news that the extreme gaming owner relinquish their
Oh.
qualifying spot to the EWC because Extreme Gaming just looked lazy. I'm not sure if that went through. That was
Oh.
a real post on Taobao or Bilibili. I'm not sure which one. Weibo. It
Okay.
was a post on Weibo, I
Weibo.
believe.
Hmm.
Yeah, and he did post that he was giving away the slot. There's no lower for Extreme Gaming than losing to Nigma and Boom. So he gave a shout
Wow.
out to two teams I cared for. And yeah, he felt like the team was lazy. I don't know what's happening there. I don't know what that means for the China close qualifiers. I don't know if the org is still there. So that's the one bit of drama as well with China.
One slot. Extreme Gaming, Yakult, or any surprise?
No surprises. I'm not expecting any big
Extreme Gaming,
stacks. I mean,
see.
there might be some big stacks. I would actually say Occult Brothers, though. I think they've been very impressive with how they played in Dream
Mm-hmm.
League 26, which again is going on right now. They've looked
Mm-hmm.
pretty damn good in their games. And, after that post from the Extreme Gaming owner, I don't disagree. I think Extreme Gaming has looked sloppy on a lot of their other players. I think the Extreme Gaming owner did say that Ame stood out as the one really hardworking guy, and I would agree. I'm inclined to
Okay.
agree. So, am I expecting anything big from the qualifier teams? I mean, there's a few players that I'd expect to be in teams. I
Mhm.
just don't know if they'll be able to knock it out. I think Yakult Brothers, for me, is the favorites going in there, and they should be the ones taking the slot, but who knows?
Okay, so last region, our region,
Hmm.
Southeast Asia, six team direct invite for the close qualifier, and then they put four slot from the open qualifier, two from the open qualifier one, two from the open qualifier two. But we start with the not qualifier team, the invitational team, Talon,
Mm.
Boom, Trailer Park Boys, the Mongols, Ivory, and also Execration.
Yep.
Four big organization, and then two, let's say, newcomer as an organization, or maybe stack team like Trailer Park Boys and also Ivory. What about them?
Well, I mean, Ivory is a smaller org. They are an actual org, if I do recall right.
Okay.
They do have an environment. Trailer Park Boys definitely a bit of a stack that has stuck around for a
Okay.
while for a few qualifiers. I think Southeast Asia, it's a bit more clear cut, and this is where it's maybe a little bit harder to swallow for us fans. But again,
Okay.
even though C in general hasn't been doing well in lands, the teams we do send to lands curb stomp the rest for the past few qualifiers. It's been a curb stomp from Talon, it's been a curb stomping from Boom in terms of winning these Southeast Asian qualifiers. So
Yep.
I don't know what to expect. I think the Mongols did go back to a full Mongolian squad. That's interesting.
Yep.
I don't know if it's going to be that great. They have a lot of new names like Ossuckle, Panda, and Winter. Only
Mm-hmm.
Fortunesful and Aceball being the real veterans of Lansing. That's interesting. Trailer Park Boys, I do forget who they've been running their stack. Ivory's been pretty a young team. They've been progressing, but they haven't really reached that many highs outside of like Acer Predator League and
Mm-hmm.
Execration. I'm not sure. I mean, Execration's the wild one out of all these teams that if there's a team that could get a deep run, it could be Execration. They do have Arthur as their coach from Alliance
Yep.
before, Leon Y.
Mm-hmm.
Arthur. He's a pretty cool bloke. And I think that's the kind of guidance Execration could use. The same thing that they kind of got from JL as well. So
Mm-hmm.
we'll have to see the effect of that. But yeah, I think I think it's likely, very, very likely it's just Talon and Boom. I think the question is who's going to be number 3, number 4, who's right at their cusp, who's playing, say, the lower bracket final or the lower bracket semifinals into
Ah.
that, right? Like,
Okay.
what's the next competitive team outside of Boom and Talon? And that's the one where I can't fully say who. I think it's easy to say Execration, but again, they're touch and go. Their performances in qualifiers have been mixed, if not disappointing for this kind of stack. The Mongols with their new stack as well, untested, unproven. Ivory haven't gone far outside of Predator leagues. Trailer Park Boys could be interesting, but I'm not too sure. It's a question.
Okay, okay. So still, it's gonna be a big team, big organization, big name player that gonna be
Mm.
come up on top for the Southeast Asia qualifier. So yeah, what about the open qualifier? You're expecting something like Mosel somehow pulling out from the open qualifier, or
Oh,
maybe the G Croy boy and the
mm,
boys from the open qualifiers. Well, I do think they have a shot to qualify from open qualifier. I mean, like to get the slot from the open qualifier. But
for
when
sure.
it's come to the main event from the Southeast Asia qualifier, I don't know. I think it's still debatable here. I mean, like they kind of have the shot, but either it's a toe-to-toe game or it's gonna be stomped. That's what I'm thinking, John. What do you think?
Yeah, I can kind of see that. I feel like it's kind of that way. I think when it comes down to the open qualifiers, it's going to be very interesting because open qualifiers are the most brutal because it's best of one. So a random loss to a stack
Yep.
can just end the story for a lot of teams. And there's a lot of good stacks. Right? Like I'm
Well,
looking at the open qualifier registered teams right now for OQ1. IAP is there, and they're a proven set of 5 players who've been together for a while.
yep.
You've got TK Esports, I believe the Malaysian all girls team, which is also pretty cool.
Mm-hmm.
You've got Team Nemesis. You have the Nemesis guys. You've got what? I'm pretty sure there's going to be some sort of a cuckoo stack. Like one of the cuckoos will make a
Uh-huh.
stack as well.
Yep.
YG's there, your typical open qualifier kind of team. So it's a bloodbath, only having 4 slots, and
Mm-hmm.
this one I never dare to predict who goes through open qualifiers because
Oh.
it's such a dice roll. It's
Well,
just one
yeah.
mistake you're out.
It's always happens to like in region that we talked about earlier, which is the America region.
Mm,
Well, a lot of big name that didn't get invited from Southeast Asia. Sometimes they try to go from the open qualifier, but in the round two, they surprisingly get knocked out from I don't know team
yeah,
that maybe play on a I don't know, John. You can say they're not even famous or maybe not even in the top 100, something like
yeah,
that, something like that.
yeah.
So it's always happens from the open qualifier. So yeah, maybe we just pray for the best for the knockout phase for the Southeast Asia because we want a
Hmm.
bloodbath. Well, it's gonna be a bloodbath, but we want the bloodbath. Well,
Yeah.
you know, the best possible maybe talent with Boom, like you said, but I want some team from open qualifier that go to the TI. That's what I'm
Yeah,
thinking.
I mean, I think the closest we had to that was what was it? TI 2018 or 19, Team
Which
Genesis that
oh
had
yeah.
Gunner, that had 23 Savage, it had
Mm-hmm.
Forev, if I recall right. And they went all the way. They fought Mineski. They lost 3-2 or 3-1, one of those scores. So that was the closest we had from an open qualifier team into TI. I wouldn't mind that story. I think
Mm-hmm.
um I think Boom is a team that you can beat. I think Talon right now is on a different level. And for it's not the bias,
Yeah.
but just look at them in Dream League right now, man. Like
Let's be
there's no way
real.
this team is let's be real.
Yeah.
They're
Uh-huh.
beating a lot of good teams. So, I
Yep.
think Boom is a team that's certainly beatable by other Southeast Asian teams.
Mm-hmm.
So I'd like to see if we got a surprise. I mean, I would pay a million to watch Dreamocell ride into that point and beat Boom Esports. I think that would be poetic, somehow. I'd love to see that. I'd love to
I know
see
where it's going. I know where
like,
it's going, John.
yeah, yeah, or if not Dreamocell, then in your dream maybe Jacroy, Mamangdaya.
I
That would be
I
fun.
really want them to play at least one last time in the, like an old team, like Dreamocell playing on the carry, in your team playing on the mid, making a stack. There's spot
Yeah.
player for post three, for post four, for post five. They still available in Indonesia, or maybe you want to play with some Singaporeans, Malaysian,
Mm.
some other region from some other country in Southeast Asia. They still have a shot, I think, John, at least to get the open qualifier shot.
Yeah, for sure, for sure. And I'd love to see it. Hopefully they register, because
Yeah.
I will be watching. I think I'll try to cast those open qualifiers. It's going to be
All right.
very
I will. I
long,
will.
but
I will watch you
I'll
too.
try. Thank you.
Okay, but
We'll
yeah.
try.
Well, I think. Okay. Let's recap it for Southeast Asia.
Mm.
For you, John, Talon, and who?
Talon and very likely Boom.
Okay.
But if there's any team that is less secure in that position, it's definitely Boom. So I'm pretty sure, almost 99% sure, unless Talon throws, Talon's going to TI.
Oh.
But there's the 1% chance they throw a bit. That can happen. Boom, I'm maybe 60% sure Boom goes to TI. So if there's any
Okay.
team that's easier to beat, it's probably Boom.
Okay. Boom and also Talon. Yeah.
Mhm.
Whoever is
Yep.
the first one and also the second one, at least they get the ticket. Okay. So yeah, I think you have a point there about talent, John, because well, looking on the Dream League, the tournament that's still going while we doing this recording
Mhm.
about the preparation of the TI, talent somehow can beat Liquid to 0 while this happening, but they also lose to the team that well maybe they kind of looks like can hold them, but they get stomped. You remember the 2 days ago games on the game street talents pick Centaur Warrior and also with the melee carry. Well, when the 23 Savage play Vassals Void, I mean, like that's a
Oh
stomp
yeah,
game.
no, that was.
You remember that, right? It's
Oh,
like
dude,
a
yeah, Faces
what
Void
is
with the
happening?
Bloodseeker support. Yeah, I have
Ah,
no clue. I have no
okay.
clue.
Okay, so yeah, I think that's it, John. I mean, like all the region, it's already discussed it here. All the region, all the
Yeah.
prediction. No surprise. I think something that I already expect from you too. I mean, like, well, we are a caster. We someone that are watching match by data, by also statistic. We will pick the best team with the best statistic, of course, right?
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, that's
Okay.
just that's just how it is.
Okay, okay. So yeah, I think John, that's it. Thank you so much for your times for the TI prediction and also road to TI preparation with the John X Fire here. Hopefully, we will talk again after TI. What is happening before TI or before TI? I don't know if
Yep.
you have a ticket for the TI, then I will let you go for the TI. hopefully,
I hope
hopefully,
so.
I hope that you and also Mike get a ticket to cast there
Thank you.
because
Thank you.
well, I'm happy enough to watch you guys on the stage. I mean, like if it's any more land in Southeast Asia, I will flight again, John, to you guys.
Ah, I'd love to see you. I'd love to see you there.
Okay,
Let me
okay.
know.
So okay, well, it's dependent on Valve and also all the third party.
Hmm.
It's depend on them. It's not me, John.
Yeah, yeah,
Okay,
yeah.
okay. So yeah, thank you so much, John, for the last time. I hope you have a good day ahead after this podcast. So we will see all the prediction. Is it right or not? Okay. Thank you so much, and bye bye,
No
John. See
problem.
you next
Bye bye.
time.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.